Listening to us live on the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. You can access the show by typing in www.themicroeffect.com. You can click on the appropriate links, the chat room links. Come on in, make friends, get acquainted, solve some issues, save the planet, cooperate, brainstorm. We can do this. I'm also published all across the internet nowadays, so if you have a chance, go see if you can find me. And I'm also at byebyebluesky.com and other places that have activists or activities going on to help save the planet. It's been a week, I gotta tell you. It's been one of those moments in time. I go through this every so often where I get caught up on doing a lot of different mediums and media all over the place, and then doing research and whatever, and things sometimes take me in a whole different realm and reality that, again, you'd never expect it. Start doing some research on things, and you're looking at one thing, and you get led in a totally different direction. Because in today's times, and where we're heading, and where we are at, and how it's developing, everyone needs to be not just aware, but alarmed and seeking answers to offset what is happening. We're at a stage in life right now where everything that's being done on a scientific level is basing everything off of our biology, our genetic code, our DNA, our chromosomes, our cells, our mitochondria, our connective tissue, the proteins in our body, the enzymes that get active. This is all today being utilized in ways to create synthetic life or synthetic biology. And what's happening right now, which is more alarming, is the fact that they are trying to sell the concept of synthetic biology as the future panacea to solving issues. Solving health issues that have been plaguing mankind. Solving health issues that we already have answers for, which are not being utilized because special interest groups, lobbying groups, political groups, pharmaceutical groups, medical groups, industrial groups don't want you to have access. And as a result, they now want to integrate basically mankind into a machine. It is the ultimate violation to creation, to corrupt creation, to bring it down to its lowest of lows that could possibly be. Any integration with synthetic in regard to being engineered to be an appendage to an artificial intelligence is not in state of evolution, but rather a de-evolution of life. We were meant to be free-spirited, to be able to do things just by our words, to be able to emulate our Creator, to do the things that our Creator could do, but instead, that's all being traded up for an integration with the machine. The war with the machine. And when we're looking at all the things that are deceiving us, when we're looking at all the things that they're trying to deceive us to make the candy, if you will, look sweeter, when the candy is actually poison. Okay, this is where, again, the capacity to interpret what really is. You got to remember, in today's time, up is down, right is left, 0 is 1, and 1 is 0. Nothing is being said, nothing is being done in the way that what you interpret, how you've been taught, the way you've been programmed, the way your mind operates, has all been through a state of manipulation to bring you into the state of delusion, which is being considered an awareness. To open your mind. You need to open your mind. Because once you open your mind, you are now subjected to more programming. When you get into a meditative state, if your head is not blocked, if your brain is not shielded, then what could happen is something can get downloaded while you're in that state of clear, that state of calm, that state of serenity, that state of oneness, if you will, or singularity. And this is a lot of stuff that's been taught as the way it means to clear your mind. Because once you clear your mind, then you're more subjected to being programmed. And this is a topic that we need to realize, because frequencies now are bombarding us on all kinds of levels. They're breaking down DNA. DNA is the operating system, or the program that activates the immune system, and activates protein production, activates the ways our body works. We offset the DNA in any way, shape, or form. Then the DNA doesn't operate properly. It's like running a computer programming, and you put a string of code into the program, and all of a sudden you leave some parts of that code out, so that now when the system starts to operate, it can function, but it doesn't operate as it should. That's what's going on as well. So in the hope of getting through to the importance of protecting your DNA, that is going to be so crucial in today's time in keeping you healthy. If your DNA is not being protected, then your DNA is being corrupted. And if it's being corrupted, it's being programmed or reprogrammed to do something it's not meant to do. And it's important that you start understanding that concept. This is why it's so important that you start reading what you're buying in the grocery store, reading what you're buying in the health food store. The health food store, contrary to what you've been told, is not healthy. You need to also read the ingredients that gurus are selling you. It's supposed to make you more new and improved, to be more than you are, to increase your energy, to increase your life force, to expand your lifespan. When you hear these things, they all have an appeal. Fountain of eternal youth. You know, oh, you can add an extra 10 years to your life. Oh, we can slow down the ravages of aging. We shouldn't be aging. We were never designed to go old. We were never designed to die. If you sit there and think about it. That may sound a little far-fetched for some of you, but if our bodies regenerate every 7 years to a brand spanking new body, we are not supposed to die. We're supposed to be, we should live perpetually forever. Did you know that your teeth are supposed to regenerate all your life? Did you know that? Did you know that when teeth fall out that new ones would normally grow? And do you know why they don't grow? The reason why they don't grow is because they turned off your DNA with vaccines. They cause an operating system glitch in your system by adding a program that deleted that program out of your body, or put it in a file somewhere and misplaced the file. That's the truth. Anybody who's had nano poisoning, which I'm referring to, not, you know, they call it more gallons. I call it nano poisoning. I call it what it is, or synthetic biological poisoning, or infection. Because that's truly what it is. It's a synthetic biology infection, or a nano poisoning. However way you want to look at it, that's what's really going on today. When you're looking at the synthetic biological aspect of this, and you can see how it can now integrate with your body and create a match, an integration, this is extremely alarming. Let me see if I can find this. Let me take a hard look. I had a bunch of things going, and all of a sudden, no. Uh-oh, now where did it go? Nope. I lost the article? You gotta be kidding me. That ain't it. Give me a second, I have it here somewhere. I'm looking for the article. Unless... let's see here. Well, anyway, I'll keep talking until I find it. Anyway, the concept today is we're going into synthetic biology, which means that we can now take proteins and materials and synthesize them or make them so that they can now not only interface with your system, but can be right here. Drug producing bacteria possible with synthetic biology. Now let me read this to you because you need to really see this so that the next time the doctor prescribes you a drug, you may want to think twice. Bacteria could be programmed to efficiently produce drugs, thanks to a breakthrough research in synthetic biology. They discovered to dynamically manage the allocation of essential resources inside engineered cells, advancing the potential of synthetically programming cells. Okay. When you read these things, look at keywords. Microscopic factories inside the cells that build protein that keep the cell alive and functional to both the synthetic circuit and the host cell. That's what nanopoisoning is. That's what synthetic biology infections are. When you've got a factory getting into a cell or a program, okay, they're referring to ribosomes. Ribosomes are microscopic factories inside cells that build proteins that can keep the cell alive and functional. That's us. That's part of who we are and what we are, ribosomes. But then when you add a synthetic circuit to the host cell, synthetic circuitry can be added to cells to enhance them, to make them perform bespoke functions. In other words, we can create these, not us, but they can create a synthetic circuitry to get the cells to work the way they're supposed to, or to whatever they program them to do. Okay, cells specifically programmed to produce novel antibiotics and other useful compounds. Now think about this for 1 second. We're programming our cells. We're interfering with the normal process of things that should be happening. What if we take that same principle, okay, where we take cells and we program to produce machines in the body, producing bugs in the body, to produce, or rather I should say, a mimetic in the body, or to be able to produce a haven for some kind of pathology in the body. Some of you are saying, well, that's a little bit, out there in the sci-fi world. Well, nothing that has been built in the last 60 years has been for the benefit of mankind. Mankind has been living under a time bomb or a ticking clock for the last 60 years. I think the hands are about to tip over with this tech. When we're talking about programming a cell or programming a program that's in the cell to perform a function and to create things in the cell that it normally wouldn't do. Cells don't create antibiotics. They create antibodies that fight infection. They don't create antibiotics. We know what happens when we take antibiotics. They cause a plethora of side effects to the system, one being compromising the colon. Now, having said this, this is why I say when you read, really investigate what you're reading. Cells specifically programmed to produce novel antibiotics. Cells do not produce antibiotics. Antibodies and antibiotics are two entirely different things. Antibodies teach the body how to fight an infection without antibiotics. Antibiotics suppress the conditions and suppress the immune system. They do not, let me repeat, they do not learn, teach, or show the body how to fight an infection. Antibodies do. Without enough ribosomes, either the circuit will fail or the cell will die, or both. So you have to put just the amount in there to make it work. It demonstrated a unique system through which ribosomes can be distributed dynamically. Therefore, when the synthetic circuit requires more ribosomes, to function properly, more programming to produce the proteins required to build the DNA or whatever, more will be allocated to it and less allocated to the host cell. You understand what that's saying? That is saying your matrix is being possessed by this technology. That's what it's essentially saying. Synthetic biology is about making cells easier to engineer. I actually thought they were working quite swell myself until they started releasing synthetic pathologies into the atmosphere, nano poisoning in the atmosphere. Those things weren't being released on the planet. Our biology wouldn't need any kind of synthesizing. But this is how it is today. So again, these are things, when you read them, you really have to, like I said, break this down in bits and pieces. How cells operate and testing the constraints under which they evolve, we can come up with ways of engineering cells. Ribosomes live inside the cells and construct proteins when required for cellular function, which then, when a cell needs a protein, the nucleus creates mRNA, which is sent to the ribosome, which then synthesizes the essential proteins by bonding the correct amino acids together in a chain. Now, this is what they want to introduce into our biology. This is the Star Trek crap that they were selling us way back in the 70s and the 80s and 90s. In regard to how we had a pill for everything, give a guy a shot, he recovers right away. Because what they were doing in Star Trek, right in front of your eyes, is they were showing you how the human being or mankind now is under a program, a artificial intelligence. The systems computer was operating inside these people and was able to take whatever they put inside to turn a program on to repair or regenerate the host that the technology was in. This is what they want to do today. The same thing. So again, I'm pointing this out so that you don't get caught up on the hoopla, because we got a lot of stuff going on in the health food industry as well. Products that are being sold and aren't safe, shouldn't be sold at all, shouldn't even be in the market whatsoever. And here it is today, being sold like it's, it's okay and there's nothing wrong with it. We can sell the stuff. It's going to have some benefit. Yeah, it may hurt somebody, but what the heck, or, it may affect your DNA genetic code. It may affect your chromosomes. It may affect your endocrine system, your respiratory system. It may affect your digestive system, your central nervous system. It may affect your brain. It may affect your heart, lungs. That's okay. That's okay. When we understand the nature of how herbs work and how our foods work and how that chemistry works with our systems, we don't need to add to the soil things like synthetic biology or nanotechnology or nanobiology. These things are not required. The only reason why they're putting them in there is because they've created a monster below the surface that now is using the glyphosates and other chemicals to further strip the land and suck the plant dry. Because the land is dead, so now it's looking for resources to help regenerate the soil. And what the soil is getting now is bacteria that is dying because of glyphosates and other things they're putting in that doesn't work with the biology of the planet, or the program that's currently running. So now we're eating nothing but plants and foods that have been completely compromised in that realm. And this is why it's so important that you understand the nature of what things are doing and how things are working. You can't today depend on the safety factors in government. You have no ethical government, no moral government. You have nothing really running the show. So for you, like I said, anything you can find in regarding to regenerating DNA, RNA, chromosomes, your genetic code, these things I would direct you to study, to understand, to read. Don't let anybody sell you products that are considered toxic. If you're not sure about nano and synthetic biology, I would encourage you to go to my website at augmentinforce.50webs.com, pull up the links and start reading, start investigating, and then go from there and further dig in to find out what is up and down. You don't have the luxury of assumption today. You don't even have the luxury today of hearsay. Hearing somebody saying yay, yay, yay when it's really nay, nay, nay. Any new product coming out today, and let me put it to you straight out. Any new product coming out today that uses the term nano delivery, nano metallic, angstrom, monatomic, synthetic atom, okay? Any of these terminologies are going to be used in the health food industry today. You may want to hang on to your wallet until you do some exploration and examination of what's really going on. And don't look at Google as your search engine. It is designed to sell products. That is the design of what Google is all about. So again, go with the flow. Go do the research. Look at university studies, military studies, pharmaceutical studies on certain topics, and just about any topic, and see what they've got to say. If what they've got to say has some controversy to it, which it might have, one study may say it's good, another one may say it's bad, don't worry about it. That's a good thing. That's telling you that somebody's actually doing the study. So if you see that kind of conflict, then you can better debate whether or not you need to be even buying the product. You know, you'll be debating whether or not you should be buying the product, because like I said, what we're dealing with today is an unethical planet. No morals, no scruples. If I can make a buck and get away with it while having to fulfill an obligation or a responsibility, that's what it is. And like I said, just because you've got a stamp of approval by an industry that's corrupt doesn't mean that what you're consuming is safe or has any real value. I tell that to people here all the time. Just because you see a USDA sticker on it doesn't mean it's healthy. It just means that the company has complied to the regulations that have been set forth by the USDA to keep it in compliance. Doesn't mean it's healthy, doesn't mean it's clean, doesn't even mean that it's even edible. It just means that they're complying with the regulations. This is why I tell you all the time and the importance of you reading your labels, because if you don't read your labels, and all the label, not just the compounds that you're buying, but also the excipients they're mixing with it, and understand how those excipients can interact with the pills you're buying, then you begin to realize that, hey, some of this stuff isn't really mixed well. Some of this stuff isn't really formulated well. Should I even be buying this product? This is what's called analytical thinking. Don't allow yourself the luxury of assumption today, because a lot of these things that we're dealing with today have an accumulative effect over several decades, and then several decades later is when you find you've got the health issue, because it's taking that long for the health issue to manifest, because you have been accumulating these things for quite some time. You don't have the luxury of not reading the labels of the stuff you're buying at the grocery store. A lot of times what you're buying at the grocery store is moot. It's a moot point. Majority of the stuff is garbage, and that's just the way it is. So the only option you have is to, again, learn neutrality. Learn how to neutralize something. Some of you are really poor. You can't afford to go out and buy, health food. Don't worry, the health food isn't any healthier than the non-health food. All the rhetoric that they've been spewing for the last 30 or 40 years isn't accurate anymore. some people say, well, isn't it better than eating the non-organics? How? All right, come on back and we'll get into how. All right, see you in a bit. Hey everybody, welcome back to the second half of The Remedy. I am your host, Tony Pantelresco, and you're listening to us live on the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. Wanted to further get into the whole let's take a look at stuff, but I decided I'm going to see about giving you some ideas about protecting your DNA. Now, I want you to also understand the terminology here. When I say I'm synthesizing something, hold on a second. When I talk about synthesizing or synthesis, that basically means it is being produced or being extracted or being created out of a material that might be again being produced. Just because it's synthesized doesn't necessarily mean it's a synthetic. A synthetic is something that's artificial that could be created, with things that aren't normally in nature, or can be in nature but can be manipulated by adding certain things to it. So when I'm using the term synthesis, I will express the term that is being utilized or being extracted or being made. For instance, you can synthesize vitamin C from corn or from products that have it in it, like oranges or cassava. What you're basically doing there is it is basically being taken out and being produced in the lab so that you get the vitamin C. It's not a synthetic per se, but it is synthesized or made from a raw material. Now you can take something that is, for instance, made with like a plastic material like margarine. That's a synthetic. That's not real. That is a fat or a plasticer or plastic that is again created. That's the difference. One is a synthetic, one is being produced through a process called synthesis. So when we're looking at, for instance, MSM, there's no such thing as an organic MSM. That is virtually impossible. MSM is in a lot of components and a lot of foods, but it has to be synthesized or extracted or created or brought out of the raw material that it's embedded in order for you to have just the MSM. So I hope that gives you some clarity, so you're not conned by when you hear the term organic or you're hearing some terms of natural. Things can come from a natural source. That is also can have a form of synthesis that can accumulate or can be brought out. But arsenic is also a natural source. Just so you know. People says, well, crap is natural. I said, yeah, so is arsenic, and I wouldn't eat both. I wouldn't eat neither, But there may be components in there that they may be able to pull out that they may actually use if there is some validity to the usage for it. Now, let's see what we can do about protecting the DNA. Okay? Glutamine supplies the necessary nitrogen atom for the manufacture of endogenous DNA. Where can you get glutamine from? For those of you who don't have a lot of money, go to the grocery store, buy the 4% or higher of cottage cheese. Cottage cheese has glutamine. There you go. You got a dairy product, which they tell you, by the way, you shouldn't consume dairy because we're the only people on the planet that still consume dairy. What a bunch of dumb, brain-dead personas that are out there. I wouldn't even call them people. If you're that stupid, you're not even a people. my opinion. And again, I'm going by my opinion. So again, glutamine, which comes from cottage cheese, consume it. Make sure. Now, I'm going to give you a little remedy or recipe with the cottage cheese to make it even a little bit better. A little bit more oomph to it. Go get some butter. Heat up some butter till you got the liquid ghee. Pour that into your container of cottage cheese. Like heat up about 3 or 4 ounces so you got a good, bunch of ghee, and pour about half of that into the cottage cheese and mix it up and then consume it. Oh my goodness. Talk about good eating. Your kids will love this. And one of the things that glutamine does is repairs the esophageal, stomach, and intestinal lining. Oh, do I hear somebody saying they got GERD? Oh, do I hear somebody saying they got diverticulosis? Do I hear leaky gut? Oh, do I hear some kind of itis being put into the mix there? That is what you should be consuming. Now you might want to add butyric acid. That's why the butter is in there. Butter gives you butyric acid. Butyric acid. You need butyric acid. Go look up butyric acid. B-U-T-R-Y-I-C. I think. No, B-U-T-Y-R-I-C. Yeah, butyric acid. Go look it up. You need acid, man. Lots of acid. Okay, because without acid, you can't activate the things required by the body in order to function. Ooh. Basically, SAMe, or basically methionine, is essential for the production of DNA. Ribose is a component of DNA. Ribonucleic sugar. Deoxyribonuclease splits DNA at specific places, the DNA molecule. So again, if you buy something that has DNA and RNA in it as a supplement, use it. Magnesium may facilitate the production and utilization of endogenous DNA. Oh, can you dig it? Magnesium. Let's take a look at selenium. Selenium, this is for the men. Men need selenium to sustain their DNA. Especially the L-selenomethionine form may facilitate the methylation of endogenous DNA. Zinc may assist the enzyme that produces DNA. So this is one of the reasons why men need zinc and selenium. Your DNA is is required for this. Now, you women can use selenium, magnesium, and zinc as well. You need selenium and you need magnesium. You need the magnesium to help protect you from aluminum poisoning, that the nano dust is falling on top of you. We did a show. I point out, as a male, I enjoy healthy breasts. As women, you enjoy healthy breasts as well, especially if they're your healthy breasts. Now, I don't want to see women come see me because they have a breast cancer. That is not a healthy set of breasts. That is a breast that's been compromised. Not saying that I don't want to see you. I don't want to have to really see you for that reason. But if something like that should cause a compromise, by all means, feel free to come so that we can make those unhealthy breasts healthy. And one of the ways to keep healthy breasts healthy is by combining magnesium and selenium and iodine. Because the magnesium and iodine will help flush out the aluminum that your bodies are constantly being exposed to from the damn chemtrails. See? Protection, health, healthy breasts, healthy thyroid, healthy reproductive system, healthy DNA, healthy chromosomes, healthy genetics. Wow. How that's all tied together. Lactoferrin may facilitate the indigenous production of DNA. Choline may be essential for synthesizing endogenous DNA. Now, where can you get choline from? Sunflower lecithin, egg yolk lecithin, eating eggs. Oh, eating eggs can affect your DNA production. Wow, and they told you that eggs are bad for you. See, they lied. Now, let me give you another formula here that you're going to love. You take an egg and you make a soft-boiled egg, a 2-minute egg, if you will, where it's soft-boiled. You heat it up enough where the yolk is sort of liquidy. Make sure it's sort of like an orangey yolk. Get it from a farm where the chickens are at least running around, whether they're indoor or out. But, get a good, healthy egg. Cook it for about 2 minutes where you get a soft boil. Put that in a bowl, add your salt and pepper, add a little cottage cheese to it, and mix it up, and then consume it. Oh, good golly, Miss Molly, all DNA. Can you dig it? Simple, cheap, and effective. TMG, form of methane, may help to protect the body's cellular DNA from damage. Acetyl L-carnitine may inhibit and reverse damage to the mitochondrial DNA. And acetylcysteine may protect the body's DNA from damage. Coenzyme A, which is again another a post-productive effect of B5 can help, again, repair the body's endogenous DNA. So take vitamin B5 and it'll convert to coenzyme A. NADH, which is again a derivative of niacinamide or niacin, may facilitate the repair of damaged DNA. Can you dig it? See, we have things that are on a cheap that can help repair the DNA, because your DNA is constantly being assaulted. Melatonin can help, again, repairing the DNA. Selenium or zinc may help to repair DNA damage. We have all been exposed to nanoparticulate, nanopoisoning, synthetic biology. And where it's going to attack is where you have the broken double strands in the DNA. And this is where it'll attach itself and form a new program in the system, because it has its own operating system so that it can attach itself and then continue to rewrite your DNA. So anything we can do that can protect our DNA or reverse the DNA back to normal, this is what we want. Now here's some other cheap and inexpensive ways of doing it. Apigenin, which it comes from your rosemary, your sage, your thyme, your peppermint, your oregano, your marjoram, your hawthorn berry, your hawthorn leaf. Can you dig it? This also helps in repairing the damage of DNA, and for men and women can regulate the estrogen content in the body. Epigallocatechin gallate, this is green tea, may protect the body's endogenous DNA from damage. Okay, so you have another one. Luteolin may help prevent oxidative damage to the body's endogenous DNA. Luteolin comes from rosemary, sage, thyme, oregano, marjoram, peppermint, spearmint. Whoa, these are cheap and inexpensive, and you can buy them at your local grocery store. You can extract them either in alcohol, glycerin, make teas out of them, put them in your food, dehydrate them, powder them, get them in you. Coenzyme Q10, idebenone, these are both forms of CQ10, can also help protect the mitochondrial DNA. Vitamin C facilitates the repair of damaged endogenous DNA. This is why they attack vitamin C. Vitamin E prevent free radical damage to DNA. B3, especially the niacinamide form, may help repair damaged DNA. Niacinamide is relatively inexpensive. Get these things from places like Pure Bulk or Peak Nutrition and see if you can even get a deal on it. But these are things you want to get. Inostohexaphosphate. Now you have to really read the label, because the IP6 that's being sold, some of it has got crap in it. There's one or two products out there that are clean. Those are the ones you buy. Okay, so again, it may facilitate the repair of damaged DNA. It repairs a double-strand DNA damage. And a colleague friend of mine was looking at some research yesterday by adding EDTA, DMSO, and salt with the IP6 to further repair the DNA. Whoa. See, we can fix it. It can be fixed. Pycnogenol helps prevent damage to DNA. Okay, and so does grapeseed. So again, we have things that are disposal. Golden root, which is basically rhodiola rosea, may facilitate the repair of damaged DNA and may help to protect the DNA from damage. Because it's at a very high altitude, and because it's exposed to so many things, it has the capacity to repair and regenerate its own DNA. So these are things you want to look at. These are things you want to make as a tea. These are things you want to combine. Let's say you want to get some green tea and you want to get some rosemary. Well, why don't you put the two together? You know, you might want to put some sage in there. Now you've got an estrogen blocker. You've got a DNA restorer, a DNA repair. You've got antioxidants that fight cancer. You've got antioxidants in there, bioflavonoids that can actually help reduce and remove any kind of buildup in the receptors. These are the endocrine receptors. It's an overall immune booster. You can't lose. Add a little IP6 to it and some niacinamide, and you've got another wonderful combination. You can also add a little vitamin C and vitamin E to that. See, you got lots of different ways you can manipulate this. And it's not going to break the bank. That's the interesting thing. So you can go to the grocery store. You can go to a herb shop and buy your pine bark. You can go to any Asian market and buy your green tea, East Indian market, Asian market. You can go to, like I say, a health food store and buy some of these things. We have options. We have options. Zinc, copper, and manganese are an essentiality to helping sustain your health, because they deal with the SOD levels in the body, which are very key in keeping your DNA from becoming compromised. Okay, before I go on, I'm always talking about the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. Give them your support. Help them any way you can. Keep the show going and flowing, because shows like this give you hope, and hope is worth supporting. So support the Micro Effect. You got me down here at 519-977-5351. I've got a augmentinforce.com. There you have a catalog link. In that catalog link, you have all kinds of things. You have a flash drive, you have shirts, you have buckets, triangles, books, DVDs, all in one. Check it out. Give me a call if you need a consultation. Again, call me. 519-977-5351. There's a green show coming up in Toronto. Hey, it's not that far away. It's coming up April 6th through 8th. Come on up. Meet some of the activists that are active in Canada that are trying to make a difference. Come by, shake their hands, say, hey, we're with you, we'll support you, see what you can do. Don't ask what the activists can do for you. Ask what you can do for your activists. So come on up, say hi, meet some people, get acquainted, learn some things, exchange ideas. All are welcome. Feel free to, come by and say hello. Again, it's going to be April 6th through 8th. All righty. Hey, I'm getting pretty good at that, getting that all in under 2 minutes. Again, these are things that we can now look up and start looking up patents, start looking up research, start looking up, medical, start looking up how sometimes things were facilitated, if there's any viability to it, or if it's an open-end thing. Then you might want to experiment and modify how they do things. We were looking at something yesterday, and the formula looked really good, except they added some kind of crazy soy or something to it, some kind of negative thing to neutralize the impact of whatever they were putting in there. And we said, we can modify that. We can take that out, and we can put either this in, or this in, or this in, and get a better effect. So like I said, start thinking. Start thinking like a scientist. Start thinking like an activist. Start thinking like you care. And get with the program. There's nothing you can't fix. They can give you a half-baked program, but you can always make it better. That's my motto anyway. When you see what the stuff that we do, make them better, share the health. If everybody did that, we'd be in better shape, all of us. So again, DNA all the way. Make sure you protect it. Make sure you protect your children's DNA. This is important because, again, the kids today who are in their teens, 16, 15 and under, have a challenge ahead of them like none before. Eating GMOs, breathing in nanoparticulates, being exposed to DNA, RNA damaging or collapsing frequencies that cause complete destructive of the DNA. Vaccines have nano components to them that also can cause more problems. Their genetic code, their seed, and their egg are loaded with nano. There's not going to be much going on in the future as far as reproduction goes, because what may come out may not be part of mankind anymore. Anything that can have a direct interface with a machine is not human or part of mankind. And what I mean by direct interface, meaning that You are the peripheral that it can now send a frequency to activate a program or a subroutine inside of you to do whatever the program is designed to do. And if you think we're not in those times, you may want to, again, re-examine what year you're living in. Because obviously you are not living in the same time frame that I'm living in, or we're living in two different dimensions. You know. So when we're looking at so again, when we're looking at what we can do and how we can do things, there's always a way. You just got to kind of scratch the surface. Don't allow, learn from these mediums. Learn how to really dissect what they're saying. Challenge the things that they are saying, because most of the time it's double speech. It's propagating something to be on a positive level. And when you actually look at the wording and the terminology, it's not what it's cracked up to being. Take the structured words apart. That's when you're going to see the truth of what they're really saying, what this stuff can really do. Okay, and when you start looking at it from that angle and not just reading something because you're following the rote or pattern that they've given you, then you will see what's really going on. You know, we cannot allow the luxury of just the assumption of things anymore. Read, understand, learn how to read, learn how to dissect, learn how to neutralize, especially the neutrality issue. You know, that's going to be a big key. Learn how to neutralize. Understand what you're being exposed to and learn how to neutralize. Because in today's time, I'm going to tell you, there's not a doctor out there that's going to help you. Even some of the guru doctors out there are hijacking you with misinformation and giving you junk that doesn't work, or they're selling you products just on the basis of something that was true maybe 40 years ago, 50 years ago, which no longer exists today. So don't put all your marbles with a doctor. Not a good idea. You can't afford to be compromised, and you can't, when you're getting a prescription drug, ask the doctor this question: how is this going to affect my DNA? And then read them the ingredients, read them the excipients. The excipients. You don't have to even give them the drug part of it. Read the excipients. How does that affect my DNA? See, nobody asked that question. Now, if they can't answer you, then tell them, I'm not taking the drug. I need something that's going to be supportive of my DNA, my genetic code, my chromosome code, my mitochondria. When they're giving you a statin drug, what are they doing? They are destroying your mitochondria. Okay, they're destroying your mitochondria. That's your operating system. That's your whole operating system. So don't allow yourself that luxury of just assuming, because you know what that means. Alrighty, I'll leave you with that. Alright, we'll see you, what is it, Dave? We'll see you Thursday. Till then, come up with some ideas. Save the planet. Alright, take care.